The book of Job is one of the more philosophical works in the Old Testament, addressing the problem of human suffering, or put differently, divine justice. Like Genesis, Job is not the work of a single author, but rather a complex, much debated patchwork of different texts from different authors. While the date of composition of the work is a matter of some speculation, the scholarly consensus puts it at around the 6th century BC. But this is a complicated issue, since although the first version of the story might have been committed to paper at around this time, later editions accrued over a long period. Among the books of the Old Testament, Job belongs to the works designated as the so-called wisdom literature, which also includes Ecclesiastes and the Book of Proverbs. It has been regularly used in liturgy and religious ceremonies by Jews and Christians, for example, at funerals. Like Genesis, the work has had a broad reception in Western literature and has been a favorite of writers such as William Blake, Victor Hugo, Lord Tennyson, and Thomas Carlyle. There are antecedents to the story in both Sumerian and Babylonian literature. This testifies to the fact that the story of Job, like that of Gilgamesh, was widely circulated in the ancient Middle East, with each culture giving it its own twist. This also explains why Job and his friends do not have Hebrew names, why they do not come from Hebrew towns, and why the story is set in the land of Uz, which is thought to be somewhere in Arabia. This also bespeaks a long period of oral transmission with variations from culture to culture before the written text was actually composed. The problem of the book of Job is one that arises in monotheism. In the polytheistic religions, it's easy to explain why there's injustice or why bad things happen to good people. There are different gods and goddesses who have different interests and favor different human beings. They work to help some and to hinder others. In this context, conflicts inevitably arise, and in some cases, injustices occur. These can result from the acts of ill-disposed or nefarious gods, or from a combination of events that occur in the struggles of the gods. In Zoroastrianism, there's a god of evil named Ahriman, who is in constant struggle with the god of good, Ormazd or Ahura Mazda. In polytheism, the multitude of the gods and the finitude of their powers makes it easy to understand why human life seems to be plagued with misfortune and evil. But if there's only one God, then this becomes a problem. If God is all-powerful and just, then why does he allow righteous people to suffer and wicked people to flourish? If he's all-powerful, then he can easily prevent this, and if he's just, then he would be morally compelled to do so. But yet, experience in the real world shows that there is injustice, and humans are naturally frustrated by this, especially when it happens to them. The book of Job is a meditation on this issue. It's said that this is the first theodicy, that is, an attempt to justify the ways of God to human beings. The problem of Job is set out clearly in the text. Job says that God is, quote, wise in heart and mighty in strength. To put this in modern theological terms, God is morally just as well as omnipotent. If God were only just, but not omnipotent, then this wouldn't be a problem, since he would see injustices and at least sometimes be unable to correct them. Conversely, if he were only omnipotent but not just, then this would also not be a problem, since although he could, in principle, correct every evil and injustice in the world due to his omnipotence, he wouldn't be disposed to do so. Here, one might think of the Mesopotamian gods, who do not seem particularly concerned about justice, at least as humans understand it. Thus, it's a combination of qualities in a single God that causes this to be a problem for monotheism.